there was a new set of guidelines that was just put out by the National Museum of African American History and Culture. It was describing aspects and assumptions of whiteness and white culture. Do you know what the National Museum of African American History and Culture believes to be explicitly and exclusively white cultural aspects? Individualism. That's the first one. Family structure. Having a mother and a father is white. Apparently black people, they don't have that. The scientific method, I'm not joking. They put this out there. Science is white. I guess shamanism or something. Soothsaying would be black or for other people of color, but white people have a stranglehold on science. History is an aspect of whiteness and white culture. The Protestant work ethic, working, like getting up and doing your job, that is now exclusively a white cultural aspect, according to this African American Museum. Religion, believing in Christianity, that is exclusively white. Perhaps they should read the book. Can you imagine what's going to happen when they read the Gospels? Future orientation, so planning ahead for the future, that's white. Black people can't do that, I guess. They're just stuck in the eternal present. Time is listed on here as exclusively white. Aesthetics, like beauty is white. I actually cannot allow myself to believe that this was put out seriously by a group of African American, the National Museum of African American History. Is David Duke running the National Museum of African American History? Is this like a Richard Spencer like joke project? Holidays, justice, competition, all white. Crazy. That's crazy, and very offensive to black people. But when you're stuck in this kind of ideological framework, you can't notice that. In this world, even mainstream reporters are asking, even in interviews with the President of the United States, this kind of madness, this sort of thing. Do you believe that Black Lives Matter? Asking the President of the United States, do you condemn the police who are killing all these black people? Which, by the way, isn't happening, not happening at all. So in that world, President Trump, mainly alone, possibly alone among his contemporaries, is willing to stand up and reject the premise.
Let's talk about George Floyd. You said George Floyd's death was a terrible thing.
Terrible.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way. More white people.
A lot of people are criticizing Trump for this response. I actually kind of liked this response. It wasn't the perfect one. I think the perfect response would have been to reject the premise about the cops. To say, actually, the cops aren't killing that many people. There are very few officer-involved killings every year, and they are not targeting black people. And, you could get to the second part about how a lot of more white people are being killed by the cops, and you get to that second. I think he could have gone further and just rejected the whole thing about the cops and just defended the blue. But I do at least like the point that he's not playing into this fiction that black people are being hunted down all around the country by racist police. That is a fiction. The idea that individualism and family and Christianity and science and history and working are exclusively white, that is a fiction. The idea that we're living in a white supremacist culture is a fiction. The idea that melanin gives you power and that white people are animals and savages is a fiction. It's a lie. No one should give any quarter to this. We've talked a lot on this show about how you cannot stand in the middle on these issues. These are very clear issues. If you stand in the middle of the road, you are going to get hit by a truck. We are in an election year. You need clear messaging, clear positioning. If you stand in the middle of the road, you are going to get run over by the people who are running against you. Okay? So President Trump, you can criticize his response and say, oh, it wasn't quite politic. He could have massaged it this way. That's fine. But at least he is rejecting this fictional racial narrative that is being pushed. Hey, Michael Knowles here, and the fact is, I have very expensive tastes. So please, be sure to subscribe to the Daily Wire on YouTube because I depend heavily on your support. Thank you very much.